Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be back with you. I'm Donna Chaco from Serenity and Health, and I'm here today with Susan Riggs from Riggs Integral Coaching. Hi, Susan.
Hi.
So today we're starting the second half of a 10 program series called Engaging with a Messy World. And in case you haven't noticed, it's a little messy out there in the trenches. So we've completed 5 episodes, and today is a fun one. And I think we're all in need of this. So the subject is play and rest. So how could we mess up play and rest? I don't know, but I think we sometimes do. So Susan, please take us on ahead on this wonderful topic.
All right. Yes. So this is a fun and restorative topic. Rest and play are both very important for our ability to stay healthy and to engage constructively with the world the way it is. And I want to start by experiencing a moment of rest together. So if you're willing, whoever's watching this, just settle. Take a moment to settle and feel yourself sitting on whatever you're sitting on. Notice that it's holding you up, it's supporting you. And feel your breath coming in and out, not trying to change it in any way, but just noticing that it is coming in and nourishing you, and then releasing out. And feel, let's see, maybe wiggle a little bit as you're sitting there. I like wiggling, loosening up, releasing, smiling if you feel like it. Feel a little bit of energy and openness as you move in whatever way feels good. So there we are. That's a good way to start.
That is a great way to start. Thank you for that.
So I want to say we are conditioned in the US and most Western cultures, we're conditioned to think that we have to be working all the time. And that if we're not working all the time, we're being lazy or irresponsible. There's something wrong. And it's not true at all. It's a very harmful belief, but it's a deeply ingrained belief in many of us. And we need to recognize it and shift in order to be healthy and in order to be effective in whatever we're trying to do to help the world. So here's an interesting realization. There's an author named Oliver Burkeman who wrote a book called 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals. And I love this book. It came out a couple of years ago. He used to be a writer specializing in productivity, and he studied productivity and he became more and more efficient, more and more efficient. And finally, he realized that trying to become constantly more productive was actually making him more and more anxious. And that, in fact, life is quite finite. 4,000 weeks is roughly 80 years. And that is finite. And he realized that we're never going to get everything done. All of the things that we think we're going to do, that we think we should do, it's not even possible. And so by starting to face our mortality and how finite life is, we can release some of those expectations, let go of the things that actually don't fit into our lives, and make more room for joy and purpose and meaning by understanding that we are going to die, and we're going to die without having done our entire to-do list.
It sounds so straightforward, Susan, but for those of us who tend to always be over busy, be over scheduled, it's like, well, how do you start? I mean, it's like that sounds good, right? So I guess all of us are going to have to pay, those of us who are guilty of this kind of behavior, which I think is a lot of us, will need to pay close attention to everything you have to say. So maybe you can start off. And what is this wonderful thing called play? Do we know what it is? Do we do it?
Yes. So I want to adjust expectations a little bit. We're not going to fix it with one 10-minute talk, a 20-minute talk. It's an ongoing process, and there are deep reasons why we tend to overwork. So it's a learning process and it may be a lifelong one, but we can start at least by recognizing the importance of play and rest. So we'll break it down a little bit. Play is an apparently purposeless activity. You're not doing it for a purpose. It's just fun. It's something that is engaging, it really grabs you. And when you're done, you say, oh, that was fun. And you want to do it again. Um, Small children and animals are great at this. A dog chasing a ball is just having fun. There's no particular purpose to it. Young children running around and playing, again, no particular purpose, although they are learning, they're wiring their brains as they're doing it, but that's not why they're doing it. It's just fun. And we know it when we feel it. Those of us who have kind of forgotten how to play may not immediately be able to think of something we can do that is playful. But if we plant the question, we can start to watch ourselves, and there may come a day when we do something and finish it and say, oh, that was fun. Oh, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that. So I'm not particularly good at this myself, but in thinking about this, getting ready for this talk, I realized how much I love line dancing. That's just fun. It's usually done in community. It's moving. It's purposeless, but it's really enjoyable. So that's one of the things I enjoy. Another one is, and I learned this years ago when my children were small. I was out with a friend at a playground watching our children play, and she had a bottle of bubble solution. She started blowing bubbles for the kids, and I was watching them. And my friend told me afterward, I've never seen joy on your face like when you were watching the bubbles.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess all of us should be asking ourselves, do we play? Do we have fun? And what does it mean? I mean, I guess it means different things to different people. Like I have some friends who love to play cards and they laugh and it's just great fun. And that would be kind of torture for me, I think. But I mean, watching sports, playing sports, that could be fun, could be I think, do you consider play? It's usually with other people, but not always, right?
Right, right. It can be individual or group, and we know it when we feel it, and it's very individual. So I was thinking about other things that I really like. I love merry-go-rounds and the little trains that they sometimes have for young children at amusement parks. I do not enjoy the big rides because I have a fear of heights and I get motion sickness,
Yeah.
and those are just not fun at all. But the little carousels and the
Yeah.
trains are lovely for me.
Susan, I have to tell you what I saw this morning. Such a wonderful example. We have a children's playground across the street from where we live. And um, as we left early, there I could see at the end of the street in the cul-de-sac, there were some uh, big trucks. They were going to do tree work in the park. So the Adirondack tree people there, but they hadn't started. But all of a sudden in the playground, I see these two swings swinging so high, and each person, it was two adults wearing their work orange fluorescent coats, whatever they wear to cut down trees. And I have never seen anybody swing so, and they were in unison, swinging, swinging, swinging. I thought, oh, that is because they were waiting to start, evidently. I
Yes,
thought,
and
that's
they were playing.
mhm,
That's wonderful.
mhm.
Yes, that's a great example. Yeah, and so the interesting thing about play from a research standpoint is that there's tons of research showing that it's good for our brains. It helps us while we're playing and we're not thinking about a problem that we need to solve, our brains are nonetheless loosening up and getting better at making connections so that when we go back to try to solve whatever problem we're working with, we see more possibilities and we're better at the problem solving. It makes us better at relationships because we let go of some of our anxieties and rigidity. The research is fascinating on play. We really need it, even if it's purposeless and fun. It's also purposeful in that it makes us better.
Yeah, the connection with laughing is intriguing to me and
Yes.
significant. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, laughing is good for our physical health and our emotional health.
Yeah.
All right, so that's play. Um, And yeah, so then there's rest. And rest is about managing energy. So here's where another of my favorite organizations comes in. The Conscious Leadership Group writes about this. They have one of their 15 commitments of conscious leadership is to honor the rhythms of play and rest. And they say that managing energy is more important than managing time. It's more important than managing money, more important than managing projects or anything else. Managing energy allows us to be effective in everything we do. And a lot of people mistakenly think that they can push and push and push and push and work long hours and not get enough sleep and not get enough just downtime, or family time or any other kind of time, and that it will somehow they're being diligent and effective, and they're not. There's a ton of research on that. It is not effective. People who are working long hours make more mistakes,
Right.
and they're just not as effective as people who take breaks.
Hmm. Yeah, I was thinking two things about that. No, number one is why we feel the need to overwork or keep going or do something instead of getting the rest. And it's interesting to speculate, is it uh if we have to work and be productive, is it, are we attached to the money or the power, or are we so worried that we're going to fail or that someone will look bad on us? Or it's a really worthwhile thing to think about the reasons why we can't find time for adequate rest when it's such a clear fact. And the other thing that's interesting is it's worthwhile reminding everybody that there are better ways of having rest and there are less good ways. You need to have some sort of a routine and a habit and sleep hygiene with quiet and regular hours and all of that stuff. So it involves some decision making and planning and motivation to, like everything else, to make it happen.
Yeah, discernment. And screen time in particular can be fun. It can be a good way to chill out a little bit, but it is not rest in the sense that we need rest from reading a book or from actually sleeping.
Yeah, I
So,
wanted to ask you about that actually. Both screen time, social media, YouTube scrolling, TV, where that fits in, or does it fit in either rest or play?
yeah, and it just depends. Sometimes watching a fun TV show with other people can be great play because it makes you laugh and you're connecting with people. And sometimes just zoning out on the sofa and watching a show that is relaxing, that can be somewhat restful. But we have to be discerning about it. And I think in most cases, if people just pause and ask their bodies, is this restful or is this playful? Or is it maybe not so much? Maybe this is not helping me much. And I can do a little bit of it and then go on to do something that is actually playful or restful.
Yeah,
Our bodies kind of know whether we're just zoning out to numb ourselves or whether we're resting or
right.
playing.
Yeah,
And I want to come back to what you were saying about reasons why we overwork, because this is really important. There are lots of reasons, and they're pretty deeply rooted. So it could be any or all of the things that you named. And another one that you didn't mention is a sense of not being good enough to be loved, to be lovable, even by the world or by God. And it's pretty deeply planted. It's hard to heal that.
right,
And so it's a work in progress for most of us. But
right,
it's worth looking at because that belief pushes us to work harder and harder to try to become good enough to be lovable. And we can never reach that goal,
right.
not by working hard.
And Susan, you and I had talked before and we didn't mention it. There's a lot of people who overwork only because they have no choice. They have to work
Yes.
two jobs. They can't sleep because they have two jobs or three jobs and working night shifts. And, our hearts go out to those people, and all of us can do what we can to promote social change, but we're not talking about those people.
Right. When people are working hard just to survive, that is necessary. And So yeah, those of us who have the privilege of being able to step back and get some rest, we also have an obligation to help the rest of the world
Right.
um, not have to survive by working quite so hard.
And I had one other thought about this. You talk about dancing. We're jumping around play and rest, but that's okay. Um, Dancing and a lot of other playthings, we require people to step out and do them and maybe risk looking a little funny, maybe being having a sense of vulnerability if you don't really know how to dance well, but you love to dance. So the question is, do you make yourself vulnerable, go out there and let it go and have fun, or not? And so all of these kinds of changes, it's a little hard to make these. Sometimes you have to step out there, even to have fun,
It is.
paradoxical as that may sound.
Yeah, and in fact, you're reminding me there are a couple of quotes I wanted to share about the discomfort of this. One is from Oliver Berkman again, the productivity guy. He says that because we're so driven to work too hard, we have this pathological productivity mindset, as opposed to a mindset of Sabbath rest. And Sabbath rest is a really important thing, not necessarily in a religious sense, but just in the sense that humans need to rest. And he says it's virtually guaranteed that truly stopping to rest is initially going to provoke some serious feelings of discomfort rather than of delight. That discomfort isn't a sign that you shouldn't be doing it, though. It's a sign that you definitely should.
Yeah.
So that's one kind of discomfort. And then um, there's a quote about rest from a writer named Octavia Rahim. She coaches people on how to get enough rest, especially women of color who are especially pushed to overwork in our society. She says, rest can swiftly bring you to a place of clarity. Rest reveals what is yours to do and what is not. And recognizing how hard it is for most of us to rest more, she says, what can you do right now to invite 5% more ease into your life? Just 5%.
What change, what letting go, what quiet time.
Right. Or just a shift in our mindset.
Yeah, different for everyone, I'm sure. Well, that's a good thing for our listeners to ask, and also especially like, when did you last have fun, and if and play, and if you can't remember, maybe it's time to listen again to what Susan and I have just been talking about, and see what changes you might make.
Here we are, something to think about.
Yeah. Well, this was really a wonderful topic, and a little lighter than some of the more heavy ones we've been covering. So there will be show notes, and Susan has resources for you to read on the show notes, and she's available by email through her website at rigsintegralcoaching.com, and I'm always available also through my website, which is rigsintegralcoaching.org, and my website is serenityandhealth.com. And then I'd love for you to subscribe to my blog. And regarding this 10-part series, you can get that through my blog. You can get it on Facebook, or an easy way is to just subscribe on YouTube. Can you believe we're on YouTube, Susan?
I love it.
Anyway, that all that information will be on the show notes. So thank you so much, Susan. Thank you, everyone, and just have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.